So like many people out in the bookosphere, I went and read the Commonwealth Prize winning short story that has been accused of, at least in part, being written by AI. And I am not going to pretend to be in any way an AI detectorist. I'm not going to say yes or no for sure this is AI slop. I will say, however, that it is definitely sloppy. I'm Bree. I read, write, and garden, and today we're going to talk a little bit about editing, because I think a lot of the things in this story that made me go, are really common early draft problems that we all run into, but we definitely need to keep an eye out for while we're editing our work. Number 1, overusing similes. Now, before everybody starts to rage comment, I'm not saying stop using similes or metaphors. Definitely absolutely use them in your work. They can be wonderfully evocative ways to add color to your writing. But there is such a thing as too much of a good thing, and if you have simile after simile after simile, that starts to wear very thin for the reader. You have to change it up. Definitely don't have entire paragraphs, as this story did, that's just one simile after another. Not only is it wearying for the reader, but it also lessens the impact of the simile or the metaphor itself. Number 2, speaking of overusing things, the rule of 3. Once again, I'm not saying don't use it. We like the rule of 3. It sounds pleasant to humans, but we also like variety. So you need to just make sure you're changing it up. Number 3, make it make sense. We all introduce some weirdness in our writing at some point. We try to get a little bit too fancy. There are definitely some very odd turns of phrase in this particular story that I came across. And yes, that might be an AI doing what AIs do and just throwing in some weirdness. Or it could be a human writer who was just trying to get a bit too fancy and not sense checking. I've done this in very early drafts where I've thrown in something, oftentimes in like a metaphor or a simile, that sounded cool or really good to me in the moment, and then later on I've gone back and thought, I don't know what this means, or this is just too weird, and taken it back out. If you need to, ask for a neutral third party's opinion just to make sure that it makes sense to other people, what you just said. And finally, watch your tenses. This story goes from past tense to present tense, back to past tense within a single scene of dialogue between two people. Again, this is something that I have personally done. During the first draft of the book that I'm working on now, I accidentally wrote an entire scene in present tense instead of past tense, which is what the rest of the book was written in. Obviously, I caught that on the first edit and rewrote the scene to be in the proper tense. So we all do it, but also you need to make sure you're keeping an eye out for that and correcting as necessary. But the bottom line is, don't skimp on your editing process. Make sure you're giving your stories a really thorough going over, whether they're short stories or full novels. It's a tough process. It can be painful. You have to kill a lot of darlings and get rid of some writing that you may love, but it is necessary. So don't skimp on it. It'll make your work so much better. It'll make you a stronger writer. So that's all for today. Happy writing and happy editing.